Besides being one of the most successful titles in the franchise, no one can deny that Resident Evil 4 is one of the most influential games of all time. It redefined not just the survival horror genre, but also what it takes to be a third-person shooter. So with a long-awaited remake set to release this year, it's finally happening. We here at Game 8 Information Station pulled together a list of games you can play to scratch that RE4 itch. But don't be surprised if you find that some of these games actually owe a lot of inspiration, if not their existence, to this legendary game. 2017's The Evil Within 2 by Tango Gameworks is universally beloved by the fans for its tense overtones, level of brutality, and impressive gunplay controls. Follow Sebastian Castellanos as he gets pulled into hellish delusions to fight for his life. In true survival horror fashion, players get forced to evade enemies and conserve ammo to escape the horrors of STEM. Though it is tough to balance tension and scares with gameplay, The Evil Within 2 succeeds on both fronts. Its expanded scope and set pieces ramped up the suspense that will keep gamers engaged until the very end. If you're in the mood to murder a bunch of zombies in third person, then you should definitely give The Evil Within 2 a shot. Before any of you guys react, we know. Okay? We know this game is somewhat fundamentally different from Resident Evil 4, and it's not on this list simply because it's a critically acclaimed zombie game. Well, that's part of it. It's also funny since this game recently got its own remake. Naughty Dog's The Last of Us is a must-play to see how far survival horror games, and maybe games in general, have come. And it shows this through its immersive gameplay and some of the best writing in gaming. Although not a traditional survival horror game, Alan Wake deserves a spot on this list due to the horror theme and its mind-bending narrative that definitely took notes from Stephen King's books like Dark Tower, Twin Peaks, Shining, and many more. Step into the mind of Alan Wake as he searches for his wife in this fictional town of Bright Falls, Washington, while at the same time dealing with the torments of his nightmares. Remedy Entertainment developed a menacing experience for gamers with the world they have created. Its dark atmosphere permeated a sense of dread as horrific creatures lurked in the shadows. The 12-year-old game received a remastered treatment just in time for the announcement of its long-awaited sequel set to be released in 2023. We would be sorely missed if we didn't mention one of the best third-person survival horror games of the 7th generation. Despite the futuristic setting and all the tech that comes with it, Dead Space is actually one of the closest to Resident Evil 4 on this list in terms of gameplay. It's surprisingly grounded, thoroughly paced, and features its methodical third-person suspense that people loved from RE4. It became somewhat of a fan favorite for us survival horror fans, back when Resident Evil started to lean farther from its roots. Visceral Games' Dead Space is a genuine tense experience, and you get to see it through the eyes of Isaac Clarke as he ventures into uncovering what really happened in this mining spaceship. Despite the compelling atmosphere and the grotesque alien decapitation, players will find that sometimes the real horror lies within. And it's also getting its own remake, so that's a plus. It goes without saying that playing the older RE titles is always a fun time, making the remakes a must-play for any fan of the series. But we really encourage you guys to try out Resident Evil Revelations 2. Everyone talks about the remakes and RE7, but it was Revelations 2 that planted the seed for Capcom's return to survival horror. The game doesn't just start off with Leon's original partner in crime, Claire Redfield, but also features Barry Burton's return. Revelations 2 actually features a buddy system, but wait a minute. Before you roll your eyes and think of RE5 and 6, the game actually does it right this time. The game encourages a lot of teamwork and managing the strengths and weaknesses of each pair in order to maximize the chances of survival. Like blinding zombies with a flashlight, switching to Claire for a kick, then finishing off with a crowbar. It just really adds an interesting layer into the tried and true RE formula. Maybe something Ashley could learn a thing or two from? So if you want a tense Resident Evil game that not only goes back to its roots, then you really shouldn't sleep on Resident Evil Revelations 2. Last but never the least is one of the newer games in the franchise. Resident Evil Village brings us to a familiar first-person perspective of Ethan Winters and the horrors that come with it. The story of Village takes place, well, in a village. After having your daughter taken away, you suddenly wake up and find yourself walking into the said village. From there, you start your survival horror experience. The devs made sure it carried a lot of the essence of Resident Evil 4, utilizing a similar balance of combat, exploration, and puzzle solving. You have your backtracking around the village, fighting BOWs, called Lycans this time, and you even have your merchant who may or may not be friends with that guy in the 4th game.
If it's just looking, window shop away.
It's a great time to get into Resident Evil and Village, as it has definitely restored some confidence in the future of the series. So that's that. 6 games you can play to scratch your itch while you await the glorious arrival of Resident Evil 4 Remake. It's a good time to be alive for survival horror fans, as we have no shortage of amazing titles, remasters, and remakes. So how do you guys feel about our list? Do you recommend that give off the RE4 vibe? Let us know in the comments below. Till then, this is Game 8 Information Station, signing off.